Before we start the show, we would like to thank our sponsors for 2024, Beefmaster Education Endowment Fund. Thank you for what you do for the breed, and thank you for supporting our show. SEBA, the Southeastern Beefmaster Breeders Association. Don't miss their convention and sale every August. Thank you for supporting the show. Emmons Ranch Beefmasters, Mr. Steve and Mrs. Cindy. They need no introduction. They always breed great cattle, and we just appreciate what you guys do, and thank you for supporting us. C&M Ranches out of Kershaw, South Carolina, the Chick family. Be on the lookout for their sale starting in 2025. Thank you for supporting the show. Lissy's Beefmasters is another one that doesn't need any introduction. We appreciate what you do for the breed and for our show. Cottage Farms Beefmasters, they have a sale with Clark Jones every year in June. Thank you for supporting our show. Sea Shepherd Beefmasters, thank you for supporting the show out there in Texas. And Jones Beefmasters, last but certainly not least, sell every June. They sell throughout the year. Mr. Clark, thank you for what you do for the breed every day, and thank you for what you do for our show. We couldn't do it without any of our sponsors, and we really appreciate you. Welcome to Beefmaster Banner. We're your hosts, Josh Morrison and Jared Strickland. How's it going, Jared?
It's going good. Enjoyed the holiday break we had, but about time to get back after it, ain't it?
It is. We want to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope you had a great Christmas and a great Thanksgiving. It feels like it's been a year since we've done this.
It feels like it's been a minute. Well, we did a lot of pre-recording earlier on too, so that may help make it seem a little bit longer too. But it's been a whole month.
I think so. It's been a month. It's been great. We appreciate y'all letting us have that little time off. It's a busy time of year for me, I know, with work and everything else going on. But we're back, and can you believe we are talking about being season 3 here?
It's hard to believe. It feels like yesterday we first started talking about even doing this.
Yeah, it's wild. It's pretty impressive to me that we've started on season 3 here, and we keep saying we're gonna go as long as everybody's listening. When people start telling us they're not listening, we'll quit. But Christmas was great on our end. We just kind of tried to have as low key a one as possible. But how about y'all?
We had a good one. It was scattered from one end to the other of it. We had some sickness in some of the families, so our gatherings were a little bit scattered out. We finished up our last one on New Year's Eve.
Oh man!
so we started did one, I think, nearly 2 weeks before Christmas, and needed a week after Christmas.
So ringing in the New Year with Christmas.
That's right, and then ringing in with a New Year's eating.
Yeah. Well, we're in the middle of feeding hay, and it's wet here, but I think you're pretty dry, right?
Yeah, they actually talked to one of the guys at the climate office or whatever. They moved us to D4 actually the day when we were recording it. So we're pretty dry. This is the driest winter we've had and I can remember. So it's interesting.
Wow. Well, I told you earlier I was complaining about the mud, but I guess I won't complain too much. I'll tromp through it, I guess, and not complain.
Yeah, there had been many times in my life where I've actually wanted a little mud, as far as in the wintertime, but it's kind of scary in a way.
Yes.
But they're calling for some in the forecast, so I think we're probably maybe about to change, but we'll see.
Good. Well, we have a lot to catch up on and a lot to talk about this year. One of the first things, it's actually funny that we're doing it. We're actually recording this on the 4th. The new digital beef system came out, and you and I just sat here for 40 minutes. We were supposed to be recording for the last 40 minutes, but we've just been playing with the system, and I'm, like we've talked about, it's a pretty impressive system.
Yeah, I mean it. And I've noticed a few comments and things like that, and that's one thing we wanted to do was get on here and talk about it. That way, encourage folks to use it and get to learn it, because at first, if you've never really worked with a complex system, it's a lot to look at off at the front. There's lots of down arrows, lots of keys, and lots of things. But once you learn it, it's just like we were just talking before we started going through some of this. I mean, there's a lots of good things on here that's going to be very valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the main things I'm looking at here is we talked about it is how you go in and you put in your calves to register them or give them a P number. There's actually if so for those of you that don't know, if you'll go to your left side of your screen, click work cues and click birth recording, it'll start walking you through how to do this. But when you get into the main screen, you go to the top, very top right corner of the screen, it'll say page guide. That is the coolest thing in the world. I was like giggling like a kid on Christmas when I seen this because you don't have to go to 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 pages to find your stuff to put your calves in. It literally tells you can click each number. It tells you what 1 through 28, I think. But each number you click on, it tells you exactly what to do. One of the coolest things for me that I told Jared here was, the teat scores, the suspension scores, a lot of that was hard to find before. You click on the number that it shows above it, it literally gives you the picture and what every number stands for. Um, the other cool part, Jared really liked this, was you click number 1, it's the dam. You can go over right beside it. There's some green lines and an arrow. You click it, and that's your whole herd of cows. You can just click the
Yeah.
cow that you need.
Well, we jumped up in excitement when we seen that because now when you put your calves in, instead of having to know ID numbers or type them in or whatever, you right click on that that icon and you just check mark which one you want to do. So if you keep calving records in a book or something like that, you just sit down on your computer, you got all your information right there, and it's just you're gonna be able to walk right through it. One thing I was excited about is some of the numbers. So like the holding brand and the location and stuff like that, it's already you can have it preset so it's fixed already in there. So you're not having to type that in or down arrow that every single time too. So I said it's a lot to take in at first when you first look at it. But like Josh said, use that page guide and it's like, when you sign a document at the bank or something, it's already pre-lit for you. And if you don't know what it means, all you do is click on that red number above it and it's going to tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. The
And
color, the color being the biggest thing is you can go to it's number 13. You can scroll over and see it. You click the number, it tells you on the page guide down below it, it will pop up real big. It'll tell you what number is what color, what letter is, a mott face, star face, white face. That was always some of the hardest things for me to do was go find that every time I needed it. And now
yeah,
it's
and
just
it's
right here at
all,
your fingertips.
yeah, everything is all right there for you. You're not having to go look at all the different pages. For someone like me, and I'm sure Josh can attest to this too, we might only put our calves in once or twice a year because we don't have, we only have 30 something cows. So, man, we typically are not registering that many cows. So it's hard for me to remember the codes. So, but
Yes.
they're all right there ready for you to type in as soon as you, you look at it. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Another cool thing that I found, if y'all haven't figured out yet, we're going to talk a lot about this tonight because seen a lot of some concern about it. I've not really seen any bad reviews on it as far as social media and looking at things. Everybody seems to like it, but hopefully we can, if this is something that you're struggling with, hopefully this, maybe something will resonate here that maybe you're looking at. But like the AI search, you scroll right over, click on AI search. You can purchase them here. You can sell and transfer. Um, it's just going to make all of our jobs a lot easier.
yeah, and I mean, and I'll say this for the Beefmaster, uh, you know, breed. This is actually, I think, this is an awesome service in a way because it's almost like a whole herd management tool at, that you have access to without other than paying for your membership, pretty much.
Right. I mean,
I mean, you go to the first pages on here. I mean, you can do pasture recording. It's got all you can put your vaccination records in there, AI records, synchronizing, palpation records. I mean, it's a it is a humongous step up from where we've just come from as far as our management system.
and I use CattleMax, and I love CattleMax because it makes everything easy. But this will essentially do everything that does. So, that could be a way to put, I'm not saying for sure because I'd like to mess with it first. That could be a way to potentially cut costs right there. I mean, if this will work for our members like that, or like something else that you're using, and all you're paying is your, membership every year. I mean, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, and like I said, there's enough. Like I said, we haven't went through every little detail of it yet, so we're still learning it just like everybody. Uh, but I think there's enough tools in there to substitute for something like a CattleMax. May not be every little detail that you're looking for, but I think I even saw one a while ago that you can even put in a heat record and stuff like that. So if you see cattle coming in heat, you can mark that down in there. Uh, I really like the DNA tab. I mean, it's got you can look at a genetic summary and it pulls up all your cattle, your test, and shows you if they're, if you're looking for homo polled and homo colored cattle, red or black or whatever you're doing, it's all right there, and what the parentage and everything like that too. So that's really neat.
And
On the
for
go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say for um newer people or people that haven't done it very long, you can actually you can click on your herd tab, and if you go over to pre-wean, either bulls or females, it actually tells you if they're too young to wean or too young to get the adjusted numbers. And it actually says right up here, it says no winning record under 250 days of age. So, and once they are able to be weaned on that exact same page, you can go edit and put in a wean weight. You can register them from that one page. I mean, it's all right there.
One thing I really liked, which I'm not sure how it may work for other folks. I'm just going by what's on my page, but in the whole herd reporting tabs there, it gives you a breakdown of the last, well, in mine it says 5 years, it may, but you can look at all of your cows and it pretty much gives you a calving history of the last 5 years of all your cows right there and pretty much in a graph. And you can pick out real quick, which ones have a longer calving interval and which ones are better. It gives it to the day, just almost information overload of when your calves are born by each cow. It shows your first calf, and then the next year it shows what day it was in there and how many days that was. So like 366 or 402 or whatever. And that's just really cool to see. And also on the main page of that, it gives you your kind of like an assessment, and it shows what's real. I have to pull it right there so I can look, but it gives you on the main tab, it gives you your years, and it shows how many cows you assessed, how many your calving percentage, your wean, and your percent wean. And it also gives you pounds wean per assessed cow, which, man, that right there, that's pretty awesome. It's all, you're doing all this data entry anyway, and then it's giving you all this information. So you look back and see, are you gaining weaning weights per year per cow or not, So I mean it's kind of neat. And that's a lot of information.
The old system was good, but like you had mentioned, it was a simple system. We've
Yeah,
got
and I mean there's a lot of people that like simple, and I like simple too. But when you get to where you're going to have to access for this much information, it's going to get a little bit more complex. It just has to.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
really kind of messing with it, it's pretty concise as far as showing you where you need to go. I mean, that's with anything. It's kind of like the first time I used the iPhone, I couldn't figure out why every time I had to swipe this way or swipe that way and do all that. It's just kind of like this. You learn it as you go, and I think once you get used to it, it'll be like the old system. You get used
Yes.
to, you know
Well,
where to go and figure it out.
and I think it's gonna free up the BBU office a lot more because pretty much anything in here that is attached to your account, you can go edit or change, or you can add contacts, phone numbers, addresses. You can see if you're with any syndicates. Um, I mean, you can pretty much do anything that you want in this system, and most of the tabs that I've clicked on, it's pretty explanatory what you do. I mean,
Mm.
it's it is a complex system, but it is a simple complex system in my opinion. But I do think it's going to free up the BBU office once everything gets rolling because you don't have to contact them for every little thing. They can do the more of the stuff that they're, needing and wanting to do on a daily basis, just like selling and transferring these AI certs. I mean, you just click there, it's done, the end. I mean, it's just a really nice system.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, anytime you're doing any kind of work queue or anything like that. So like when you're just kind of going back to what Josh says, even in the weaning and yearling stuff, you've got a guide to make sure you hit every spot. You know.
Yes, absolutely. Um, you can go look at proven sires, proven dams, young sires over there to the left of the screen. We use the letter system in our tagging and our numbering system, so it's nice not to have to go try to Google and figure out what letters next.
Yep,
Um,
it's just right there, right there.
which normally probably just goes by the alphabet anyways, but it's nice to have because I can just look right there and go, okay, this year's going to be M, so I can go ahead and get started on
And even just kind of showing how much data that you're having access to. We were looking at a while ago, um, even in the simple search animal uh, part. So if let's say you're wanting to buy animals from a certain person or anything like that, we were messing around with it. You can actually look at the contemporary groups, like what animals are in that contemporary group. All the data is right there at your fingertips, and you can really do some digging on that. Um, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting.
Well, and you don't have to, it takes all the guesswork out of it, right? I mean, you can go in
Yeah, I mean,
there and see exactly what calves were in that contemporary group now, to where used to you'd only get a percent ranking. You wouldn't know how many really were in there, or anything like that. Well, now, I mean, all that's all knowledge now.
yeah, and I mean, it's not as simple as just looking, but you could even do some digging on it and kind of see which genetics uh, in that contemporary group might have been at the high end and which ones might have been at the low end. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
uh,
I
it's
mean, you
kind
can
of
even
it's
search an EPD parameters. If there's an EPD you're looking for, type it in and search it. I mean, it it's literally a plethora of information, and I was kind of concerned at how it would be laid out, but it's laid out. There's really nothing I can say that is bad. I mean, really.
no, I mean, I would say one complaint might be I remember on the old system you could probably use your phone fairly easily to do some things. This is you're going to need to be on a computer, maybe even like an iPad or something, because the there's just a lot of tabs for a phone.
Yes, it may still be easy. I haven't used it, but it may still be easy enough just to search an animal. Um, but I
Yeah, but
don't, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're going to do some type of herd management as far as registering calves or put in birth records, you're probably going to need to be on a computer.
Something we laughed about a few minutes before we started the podcast was you can actually go down, scroll down, and you can see who's online right now. So you can see all your members that are online if you want to mess with your buddies.
Yeah,
You can
we were
now.
looking at that. We might need to ask them for a feature like a chat box or something.
Yeah. There's a map too. I just found it. Up on the top it says breeder map. You can see where all of the breeders are. Everybody that's a member, what state. If you scroll on down, it shows you each state, who's in whole herd reporting. I mean, there's so much information here. It's just it's unreal. You can
Speaking of map, I was
yeah.
going to say you can see in your customer report too, where I kind of thought that was neat. I just happened to get on it and just saw who's all bought from me in the last 60 months, and it gives you a little icon on the map of where they're at, you know. And I thought that was fairly interesting as well.
Oh yeah. That's
So
pretty
that way you might could check up on your customers that's bought from you or something remind you.
well, you know where your market share is.
Yeah, so you got, I mean, if you got like you know, a place where you notice, well, there's a lot of people in East Texas buying from me or something like that, you may want to market more in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because it kind of will help. It'll actually help you in knowing where your market's at, who your market is, where your market is. Something that we could all take from this, and we will talk about this in a later episode, hopefully with a guest of some sort, is you can see, like, if you just pull up the breeder map. So, Midwest, Southeast, South, you got a lot of members there, but when you get west, northwest, or northeast, you can tell there's not near as many people. Now, obviously, you get northwest, there's not as many people out there, anyways. But it may be a way, this may be a way that we as breeders can try to, start reaching out there and trying to get new members in these places that there's not a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it even has a suppliers tab, so whoever you've been buying from, you see too,
Oh yes.
and how many you purchased. So if you sitting there thinking about, well, where'd I get all these good animals at? You can look back and say, well, I might need to be making a trip somewhere.
You can figure out who it is.
Yeah.
If you think, well, I don't know where I've been buying all them animals. Well, it's probably just a couple places you've been buying most of them, I would say.
Yeah.
And you can figure that out pretty quick. But there's so much information here that I really think it's going to be great for us. I think it's going to be great for the breed. I think it's going to, I think it's going to help all of us figure out where we're going and what we're doing a lot better than before, which in turn is going to do nothing but make this breed better. And that's what we're all after.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I think we could be more efficient. And one thing too, I think I just remembered I was looking at it. That genetics trends graph is pretty cool too. Uh, may not be so good for you if you're just brand new, but if you've been doing it for several years, that's pretty neat because it
Tells you
shows.
where you're headed.
Yeah, it gives you an idea because that's pretty cool.
Tell
You
us,
get the
tell us how to
trend of
get
which
there.
way. So you go to tools and you've got a few tools there. You've got data trends, genetic trends.
Oh, there it is.
You've even
Okay.
got progeny calculations too. I need to check that one out a little more. But that genetics trends, just like I'll just say I guess it's looks like to me, it compares you to the herd average.
I
And
think
it's
you're
got
right.
your years and then it looks like a complete average of your EPDs as you go through there. You'll see. So I just clicked on birth weight, and then my first year of data was a negative, and over the course of, say, almost looks like that's 10 years, mine has went up to just above positive. So just by my herd, looks like my birth weights have gotten a little bigger. But
Okay.
that would be neat, because now looking at the weaning weight averages or the weaning weights, my weaning weights have trended upwards. So in the scheme of things, if my weaning weights are going higher, there's probably a good chance my birth weights are getting a little higher too.
Yes. Yes.
Same for my yearling weights. Yeah, my yearling weights are trending higher. So that all corresponds pretty neat. So yeah, that's pretty neat.
That's a pretty cool. It's all pretty neat. I think it's gonna really. I really think this stuff's gonna help us. I mean, I don't see how it can't.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you haven't got on it or have got on it just a little bit, don't be afraid to get on there and click around, and it's pretty intuitive if you get going, and like I said, learn it and study it, and I think it'll really help us all.
I think so too. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that kind of takes us into, I guess, really our last point of the night is, what are we excited for this year? What are you looking forward to out of the podcast this year?
Well, one thing I'm really looking forward to is we've actually had a lot of comments and messages and things like that of some subjects that people want us to go over, and we're very thankful for that. But we're going to try to do a whole lot more of that. More of a, I don't know if you want to call it a hot topic or whatever you want to call it, something. Try to do it more of more interaction with folks and what they want. Keep sending them in, and after we do the episode, and if it's one of your topics that you've asked us about, let us know how we did and see if it helped you or hurt you or gave you any ideas, or
Or if you
good or
didn't like
bad,
it.
or if you didn't like it, whatever. But we're going to try to touch on some things that people want to know more about. We've had several new breeders reach out to us about some things, and we're excited to try to cover that. Me and Josh will try to handle several of them, but we'll try to, if it's way over our head, we're definitely going to have some guests on to kind of help do that, especially with some of the EPD questions and things like that.
Well, and some of the hot topic stuff, we're going to try to take on. I don't really want to call it. I mean, some of the stuff that may be a little touchy, we're still we're gonna try to touch on it this year. We not necessarily that we've tried to steer away from it before, but we're gonna try to touch on more in depth stuff and try to get you know try to get more in depth and hey, y'all may not agree with what we have to say, and that's okay. I mean, that's what this platform's for. If you don't agree and you want to come on and talk about it, we'll gladly talk about it. The only thing we always want to do is keep it positive. I mean, there's enough negativity in the world. If we can keep this podcast positive, that's all we want to do. And that's not saying we can't disagree with each other. We can't have a debate or a conversation about it, because at the end of the day, Jared and I may not agree, but something he says may resonate with me and vice versa. And that's what we're trying to do.
And I guess another way to look at it is we just want to try to get a conversation started in the breed as well. I mean, that's what this is for, is to get everybody working together, and like Josh said, we may not all agree with a direction or certain ideas, but at least if we're bouncing them off each other, it may help everyone.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We are all Beefmaster breeders are trying to do the same thing, just in different ways. And what I mean by that is we're all trying to make the Beefmaster cow the best cow in the entire world, which I think it already is, but we're trying to make a better cow for the end user, for the commercial guy, for, putting it on your plate and eating it, people that have no idea about cattle. We're all trying to do that. We just all have different ways of doing it, and that's okay. But that's what we're wanting to hit on this year is, yeah, you may have a difference in opinion, but let's talk about it.
Well, just a precursor one. We had a question. What's the good and ups and downs of, say, if they were to flush a cow or flush a heifer, or something like that along those lines, and we're going to tackle that. Now we're going to lay it out there with the pros and cons, and then that'll be up to the viewers to decide whether they want to take that approach. But
Yeah, we'll
get
give
the
our opinions
conversation
on it.
started. Yeah, give our opinions on it and stuff like that. And like I said, now we may say something. I might say, yeah, we need to flush heifers and all that, or whatever. And you may not agree with that, and that's okay. But we'll talk about what's the pros to doing that, what's the cons to doing that, and everybody that is trying to wrestle with that decision can take that on upon themselves and decide.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna have some fun guests on this year. We've got some ideas. We're gonna have some of the same guests. We're gonna try to have some new guests on this year. It's gonna be a good time, and I really look forward to season 3.
Yeah, me too. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, but let's get this thing started. And if you guys, hopefully this helped you. It was just kind of a quick rundown of what we think of the new digital beef. We thought that would have been a good episode to start out with for the year, since this is kind of where everything's at now.
Yeah, and kind of a hot topic, like we was just saying.
That was a definite hot topic. I think this is one of the more positive hot topics we'll probably cover this year. But yeah, I mean, I look forward to the year. I look forward to the guests. We always appreciate our guests coming on. And we've got some sponsors that is hung on with us for this year, and we really appreciate them. And it's just gonna be a good time. And we appreciate everybody listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Sounds good. See you, man.
Well, we want to thank everybody for listening to the Beefmaster Banner podcast. Please know that we are on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and we are on YouTube. Just search Beefmaster Banner. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you.